pressure. Peachy be the one to bless ya, but don't test her. The queen reigns supreme, you know what I mean? Add the boy Breezie, Prince, like a king. When the two come together in any weather, they form a bond, stay tight in any measure. So it's my pleasure, the number one team. Let the world know what's your fantasy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back, week 2. What's your fantasy? I'm your host, Wayne Breezie. That's my girl, Crystal Peachy B's in the building. What's going on, Peachy?
Ooh, Lord. It's been a day, I'll tell you that, but I'm glad to be here to talk about these AFC players and to get everybody on track and also give you guys an update on some of the fantasy injuries that you may not be aware of or just need an update on kind of where some of your fantasy stars are. So
I like that. So we're going to do fantasy football injuries on today's show because if you haven't drafted already or if you already drafted, you're going to want to know when your players, how long your players may be out, which players you might want to kind of shy away from or whatnot. So I like that. We're going to talk about fantasy football injuries. All right. So today's episode is going to be really cool. We're going to talk a little bit about these AFC players. This was tough because there's a lot of talent in the AFC. I'm sitting here looking at the AFC. I'm like, I don't know how to pick my top 10, but I got my top 10. Peachy has her top 10. And then we're going to do something cool. We're going to review our Nitty Gritty Niners Talk fantasy football draft. Peachy and I go head-to-head week 1. So you guys out there are going to be able to tell who has the better chance of winning week 1. Now, Sleeper already said that I'm going to win by 0.1017 800%. Right? It's a neck and neck. All right? It's neck and neck. But I tell you what, I want to know from you guys in the chat who's going to win week 1. And I'll do a poll question. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll see what we get. But shout out to those that are out there. See, Jimmy Perez is in the building. 49ers, my man Fernando's in the building. What's going on? CarCast is back. My man Matthew is here. NBN Pineapple's in the building. Says taking LJ if he there. Who's LJ?
Lamar Jackson.
Taking him where?
Right.
Just curious. No, people are reaching. I just finished the fantasy football draft, Peachy, and when I talk about reach, so what happens is Mahomes goes first, and then Josh Allen, and then Lamar Jackson, and then Joe Burrow. I think that's how it kind of went down today. What's going on, Mike? Mike's in the building. He says love to us both. Love him. Eddie G and the Bulldogs is in the building. Our brother Troy's in the building. My nephew's in the building. I got a fantasy football draft with him coming up very shortly. But this is where you want to go. It's your one-stop shop for fantasy football takes. The Queen Peachy is going to get it in. I cannot freaking wait. All right, here we go. Make sure you guys, if you new to the stream, new to the podcast, it's right here. You could see that link right there. All right, I'm going to make sure that scrolls on the bottom of the freaking screen. All right, like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to join the channel. You can join the Breezie's Bunch if you want your name highlighted and get your stuff highlighted. You know what I'm saying? Please go ahead and join the Breezie's Bunch. It also has some really cool perks. All right. Just a quick recap. These are the different types of leagues that we talked about. We drafted in a PPR league. All right. Points per reception, which means when you're drafting in PPR, you want to make sure that you're going to get people that can catch the ball because they get a whole extra point. If it's full PPR, a whole extra point just for catching the ball. So that's a bonus, right? That's a bonus. And I promise we'll end the show with some Q&A and then our final thoughts on fantasy football, all right? So let's get down to it, Peachy. Let's go with the injuries that you were talking about. I think that's super important to discuss.
So a couple of injuries of note, and there's quite a few, but that's normally what happens when the season starts. So, no worries. Most players are back week 1. However, there are some players like Jackson Smith in Jigma that is going to miss more than that. So it doesn't look good for his wrist. It says 3 to 4 weeks. So according to the last thing I saw a few minutes ago, it said lean more towards like the 4-week side.
Dang.
So if you get him, just make sure that that you're prepared to stash him, which means when you stash a player, that means that you got to still have a lineup out there, a starting lineup that is going to, give you your victory for the week. And then when Njigba's back and everything is going good and you're kind of watching and he's great, then you can always just, move him out and move him up to starting, and all that stuff. So make sure that you do. Another one is Terry McLaurin. Looks like that his might be a little worse than Washington thought. Even though it's a toe, apparently it's pretty bad. I think actually the 49ers, didn't Patrick Willis, didn't he have like a really bad toe thing? It kept him out for
Yeah, that's kind of what led
right.
him to retirement.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah.
So they are looking at they're talking to the orthopedic surgeons, but don't expect McLaurin week 1. So again, that would be another player that you would want to stash. His coach Ron Rivera's not too bright about it. So happy is what I mean. He's not too happy about it. So he's not optimistic. He said that there's something that scares their organization about this injury. So just be wary. Either don't draft him, or if you draft him, be prepared to stash him. There was another one. There was one more. Oh, Miles Sanders. Good news. Miles Sanders of the Carolina Panthers now is prepared to be back week 1.
Okay.
So that could affect Chuba Hubbard. So keep that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful with that. You got to just pay attention and, listen to both of those. I think those are the major ones that I have. J.K. Dobbins, you know how that goes.
He's back though.
Yeah, he's back.
He's fully back.
Right. But they still have, a disclaimer on him, how he is. He kind of, runs himself ragged. So watch out for that one. Just make sure that if you have Dobbins, that you also have other running backs. Because truth be told, and you'll see later when you see mine and Breezie's draft that we have with our picks or our lineups, rather, you will see why it's important for you to have like a lot of running backs, a lot of receivers, things like that. So just do that. But that's about it. I can't think of anything else that's major right now.
Any update on Cooper Kupp, because that's a top draft pick and he's been dealing with the injury. So I'm just curious.
I forgot about Cooper.
Is there any updates on Cooper Kupp? So we'll try to definitely keep you updated on the major players or whatnot. But he did have an injury. I don't know if it was a leg injury or whatnot. But
it does say that he is back at practice for the first time since August 1st.
Okay, so
he's good to go.
That's a good sign. Just make sure you guys are monitoring him. Again, if you're gonna play fantasy football, you're gonna have to pay attention to all 32 teams.
Everybody.
You have to. Because you're trying to win a chip, right? And whether you're playing for fun or you're playing for money, you're trying to win a chip. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have to play. Now I just want to talk about these injuries real quickly. I want to talk about JSN, right? And so I didn't have my projected draft round for him would have been later in the draft anyway. Yes. So if you can get him later in the draft, I'm talking like rounds 9, 10, 11, 12, anything past the 9th round, and he's still available, you might as well go ahead and scoop him up and stash him on your bench like Peachy talked about a little bit earlier. So that would be a really, really good stash piece, because when healthy, he's going to be a nice pass-catching wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, all right? So you're definitely going to want to pay attention to JSN's injury. As far as Terry McLaurin, he's probably, I would say, 4th round, maybe 5th round. But now with this injury, this toe injury, it's going to kind of hurt his draft stock, and it sucks because he's their number 1, So do you waste the pick on getting a number 1 and stashing them, and hopefully, you pick up some good depth on your bench or whatnot? I don't know. Like that's the gamble you got to. Fantasy football is all about taking risks, taking gambles.
It definitely is, and sometimes it works out really good for you, and you're able to just float through the year. But a lot of times, it's all about managing and switching out and bringing back and waiver wires and all kinds of interesting things like that. So
Yeah, listen, it's all about you being the best general manager you can. I'm going to say
mhm.
this again. If you are a first time fantasy football owner, right? Only be on one team. One team. It can be overwhelming. And if you're on multiple teams, it's almost impossible to draft the same players for every team. Almost impossible, right? Especially when you're with real people and the computer isn't picking. Is it on auto draft? So, all right, man, that's the latest in football injuries. We'll make sure we have that updated for you guys
Mhm.
weekly.
Yep.
Eric Wallace says, huge Seahawks guy, but also a guy who knows good football teams. And San Fran is a great team too. Eric, we appreciate that. I feel like we're the number one, number two teams in the NFC West.
Yep.
But far as fantasy, I wouldn't draft. There's only one San Francisco 49er player I would draft. One in a possible. One in two possibles. Right? I would draft more Seahawk players than I would 49er players.
Yes.
Is that are you on that same boat, Peachy?
Yes, I
It's
am.
so funny.
I'm on that same boat.
So funny, right? But
But
Eric,
Eric,
thank you for tuning in.
shout out to you for understanding how fantasy works, because that's what we were talking about last week. We were talking about how you can't be a homer, all the time and just put like a whole bunch of people in there. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing. You have to kind of go in, with just bear and go in. So thank you, Eric, for understanding kind of how that works, knowing that revivals.
Yeah, listen, TC12I says San Francisco defense only. I'm curious to know, are you drafting San Francisco's defense with the assumption that Nick Bosa is going to sign his extension? Because I'm scared to draft the defense not knowing if Nick Bosa is going to be here. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I got to address Freaky real quick. Shout out to Freaky out there. Love the picture of Shanahan with the big hat. I tell you what, tune back in if this is a fantasy football show, but at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Nitty Gritty Niner Talk family is going to get together, and I promise it's going to be more than just a rant about Kyle. He will get straight on. I promise you. So 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the same channel, bro. Appreciate you. All right. Cool Breeze is saying CMC and Kittle. Those aren't my two. My two would be CMC and Debo. Peachy, if you can only draft two 49er players, who would your two 49er players be?
CMC and Debo.
Yeah. But I like Kittle. My issue
too.
is, will he be utilized?
Right.
I'm going with a hard no, but Brock Purdy being the quarterback, is it more of a hard yes? It's tough.
See, it's not Purdy. It's our O-line. I feel like that Kittle is going to have to do a ton of blocking when we get, especially like in the run game, like when we get, our run game going. I think Kittle is going to be putting in a lot of like manual labor.
I hear you.
But Kittle is still ranked as one of the top fantasy players.
Absolutely.
Because he's got that status, and that's just, until
he's the number 3 PG, number 3 overall tight end. It's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, George Kittle, I believe, then TJ Hawkinson, and so forth, right? Okay.
Yeah. Dee's right about this right here. The Kittle is too hit or miss fantasy wise, and that's because you just don't know how he's going to be used.
Yeah, D, it's not his fault, bro.
Right.
Last year, missed 2 games of the season, comes in, he's kind of subpar. Brock Purdy's inserted into the 49ers offense. Kittle ignites and becomes like the best tight end in the league. So you're right, it's too hit or miss. You don't want to take your chances. Now, if you can get Kittle in the 7th, 6th, 7th round, go for it. It'll be a great value pick in those rounds, but to jump up and reach,
right?
I see Holland. This is what I was talking about when the Brock Purdy hit the light bulb, right? And so I was like, wait a minute, it's Brock and Kittle, but I don't know. It's a different year, It's a different year. That's what we saw last year. Not sure. So if you guys feel like you want to reach on a guy like George Kittle, be my guest. I just wouldn't reach on him. That's just my thing. Any more advice out there, Peachy, you want to give to some of the new fantasy football players or even the current ones that's been doing it for multiple years like us?
What I have noticed is for some reason this year, there are more people that are taking quarterbacks quicker. And
It's killing me.
There are a lot of quarterbacks out there that are going to have some really good fantasy years. I don't get it. I guess
Peachy,
that they're afraid.
give me your okay. Bump the top tier quarterbacks, right?
Right.
Give everybody one quarterback that they are totally sleeping on, that they're overlooking, that they can pay attention to and possibly get in the later rounds. And matter of fact, in my draft that I just finished, I was able to draft him in like round 14 or 15. Everybody overlooked him.
Okay, so mine, one of my quarterbacks that I feel like is being overlooked is Derek Carr.
There it is. And
He is
our cousin Nigel's right on time
Hey,
too. Right?
Nigel. Yes, he is. I'm telling you, people are paying attention to like when he was with the Raiders, and like you can't do that. He's on a totally different team. He's running a totally different offense. There's so many things that are so different in this offense. He has a lot of weapons. Just the way that he is going to be able to distribute this ball and get it out. I just feel like Carr is gonna have a big year, and I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on that.
Yeah, especially when he gets Kamara back, right? That's going to be huge. But look at his weapons. He has Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. Like they got weapons. Taysom Hill's still there. He's a weapon. Like they're going to be, and they have a good defense, right? So they're going to be pretty. They're going to be pretty stout. I think Derek Carr, like I said, I wouldn't look. He wouldn't be my top options at QB. And I'm not saying wait forever to get him or reach to go get him, but I think everyone is overlooking him. Therefore, he will be available. And if Chris Olave played well with the Jameis Winston and whoever else they used at quarterback position there, I think Derek Carr would just only get those guys to play in a whole nother stratosphere. So I'm with Peachy on this. Peachy, what's the latest you would draft a quarterback? Like, what round do you have to get a quarterback by, do you think?
You would have to get a quarterback by...
Usually drafts are 15 rounds, guys. Just
right. So
standard drafts.
You would need to get a quarterback by at least... Your first quarterback you should get at like round 6, 7, somewhere around in there.
Okay. Okay. Because people are going to reach on Mahomes. He might go round 2.
That's true.
Then if Mahomes goes, Josh Allen is going to go. This is how it works. So then Allen might be in that round 2 tier. And then the next round, you might get the kid from Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. So that's 3 rounds, right? And then in the 4th round, this is where it gets tricky because you said by round 6. Trying to think, Justin Herbert will be a 4th round quarterback. Jalen Hurts might even be a 3rd round quarterback. I didn't mean to sleep on Jalen Hurts.
I'm thinking Hurts actually be, and that was your NFC quarterback that you put in your top thing last week.
Guess who I was able to get in round 9?
Who?
Old Man Yeller. Who's Old Man Yeller?
Old Man Yeller. I know you're not talking about Kirk Cousins, so you must be talking
Hell
about...
no. I'm not drafting Kirk Cousins.
Rodgers?
I was able to get Aaron Rodgers, and they let me get Aaron Rodgers in round 9 to pair up with Garrett Wilson that I got in round 2. And I feel like I got the 49ers East on this team. And I was able to get Dalvin Cook in like round 7 or something. So I got a triple threat, I feel like, as the New York Football Jets. I feel like if Dalvin Cook is healthy, he could be a steal, right? Yes. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be fine with or without that offensive line. He has the weapons this year to get the ball. He has the running game, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. I think Michael Carter is trying to get traded or demand a trade. But I was able to get Aaron Rodgers round 9. Now, I'm not telling y'all to wait. If you like Aaron Rodgers, you get Aaron Rodgers. But I feel like that might be my steal of the draft. He played well in Green Bay last year with no wide receivers, so I'm expecting him to play with wide receivers this year.
Right. This is
I hope you have an IR spot. Listen,
you
Dalvin
never
Cook
know.
doesn't go to the IR often though. Don't. It's toward the end of the season
Yes.
last year
Hmm.
after he done got me into the playoffs.
Right.
I just need him to get me into the playoffs.
Yeah, you don't even, and honestly, with your league, like you don't even, like he doesn't have to even get you to, like he just needs to get you until, like a couple of weeks before
Yeah.
that,
Right.
because then you have other carriers that
Right.
you
And
have. So
he's not my
just do it.
starting running back, but
Right,
I can pop him
exactly.
in a flex. He is getting
Yeah.
older.
Hmm.
And here's the thing. I don't think Dalvin Cook would get injured as much because they're going to
Mm-mm.
be splitting time with the second year Brees Hall, who
Exactly.
got injured last year. So it's gonna be fun. I think fantasy football this year is gonna be fun. You got new players on new teams.
I think it
This
is
is
too.
gonna be crazy. All right,
Hmm.
Peachy, this is what they all tuned in for. We got to go through our top 10 fantasy football players in the AFC. AFC. I see your questions out there. We're going to save those for Q&A. I promise they're getting started, all right? Let's go. We're going to go back and forth. I got mine in some type of an order, okay? So I think they should be in order. So Peachy, let's go. Did we go 10 up to 1 last time?
Yes, we went 10 up to 1, and I went first. So you go first this time.
All right. So my number 10 player, and I just talked about him, is going to be Josh Allen. He's my number 10 player from the AFC.
Okay.
Listen, dynamic quarterback.
Yes.
He's the only person I know that can throw himself a touchdown pass. So at the end of the day, that's all the points. You get a guy like that. Plus, he rushes for touchdowns, so that's 6 points. You guys got to think on him. Him and Lamar Jackson will be some type of dynamic type of quarterbacks to draft. But I got Josh Allen as my number 10 because he's going to also throw the ball, and you're going to get points.
Okay. So my number 10 I have is Garrett Wilson.
Dang, he made your number 10?
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because guess who my number 9 is? This is so fun. We do not put these. We don't come together.
No.
Matter of fact, I did mine right before the show. I'm not even going to lie. I had so much going on. The news from the 49ers just took me off my
I actually
element today.
researched mine, and
Okay. You didn't have to throw me under the bus like that.
hold 1 second. Madden curse for Josh Allen.
Did the Madden curse ever end?
I have had that brought up to me several times.
Did Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady shake the Madden curse? I felt like the year that they were both on it, didn't Brady win?
Wait. Now, Pat Mahomes, was that like when he was on the cover? Was that the year that he got hurt?
Yeah, but they still balled out.
But what I'm saying is, like, you get hurt, and then what's his name had to come in and take his place or something like that. Even though they
Chad Henne?
still right.
Yeah. But I don't know if it
Something to
was
think
that
about.
year. But I thought Brady did break the curse.
Mhm.
But it might start back up again. So you're right. There's
thought
a
so.
possibility.
Right there.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility. All
But,
right.
yeah.
So my 9, Garrett Wilson. Why did you pick him as your 10? And you can give the discourse about him for both picks.
Picked him as my 10 because the AFC is full of freaking talent. And it was hard enough to just squeeze this into just 10 because I could have just went like all day on the talent in the AFC. So just trying to do this, like we talked about last week, the NFC was hard because you were trying to find talent to put in there, and the AFC has so much of the talent that it's so hard to just condense it to just 10. So that's why.
And I think what makes the AFC tough is that there's I just feel like there's 5 times more talent at the most critical position of the ball, the quarterback
exactly.
position,
Mhm.
right? And so I think the talent kind of evens itself out, running backs, wide receivers,
Yes.
but it's the quarterback position that elevates their conference so much more,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
Oh, it does, because you can put any receiver in Kansas City, for instance, and Mahomes is gonna make them a star.
Okay.
And the same way Josh Allen's been doing in Buffalo. So you're absolutely right about that. Like, it just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, yep, definitely. Absolutely.
I
Sorry
like
about
Garrett.
that.
I like Garrett Wilson. I think he's a dog. I think he's going to have a tremendous season with a real quarterback. I'll leave it at that. Who do you got for your number 9?
Oh, I just talked about him. Pat Mahomes.
Interesting. This is weird. This is so weird. Because guess who my number 8 is? I kid you not. I'm looking down at my list. I'm like, 8. Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk about Mahomes. I know a lot of people are probably asking the question, how in the hell is Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen top 2 quarterbacks in the league? Arguably, maybe Joe Burrow might be top 3, top 2, whatever. But why are we ranking them so low?
I just look at it as the way that the draft goes, the way that people draft quarterbacks are just not at the top of the normally at like your first draft pick is usually not a quarterback. So I just kind of went from there, and I kind of went with that I decided to go with that format.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for the words. Great show, Psalm 62. God bless. Jesus is the way.
Got that right.
The truth and the light. I like that. All right. So here's my thing. You don't need a top tier quarterback. You want to make sure you kind of get those talented players. Remember, if this is a PPR league, points per reception, you want to make sure you get those pass catching running backs, the pass catching wide receivers. Who's going to get the most touches on the team? You got to think with that mindset. Quarterbacks hiking the ball, that's not a touch, right? And so it's wide receivers, running backs, literally 2 to 3 types of tight ends you want to go grab real quick, right? And so that's my theory on why quarterbacks, even though they're the top players in the league, Patrick Mahomes, top player in the league, that's why they are, as far as draft value, they're lower. Like if you look up like a top players list, Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback up there, but he's not into like the 20s because now you got to add the NFC skill set players. Right, and so that pushes him down into like the 20s, maybe the mid 20s or something like that. So him making number 8 and number 9 on our list is pretty darn good. All right, Peachy, number 8.
Okay, so this is weird, and I'm gonna do something that you hate. Anybody who's watched Nitty Gritty Niners, the Wayne Breezie show, any of those, knows how much Breezie hates the word stipulation.
Oh boy.
But I'm about to throw a doozy at you. So 8 is an either or, and this is why. I have
can't
a great
be either or. You gotta pick.
for it. No,
there ain't no stipulation. You just gotta pick an 8. No, that's not how it works. Pick your 8.
This is my list, so let me.
Yeah, it could be your list, but you can't have a stipulation on the list. You got to pick a person.
Let me explain though.
We don't need an explanation. Number 8. Who are you going with?
Oh, you're just hating because you don't have a stipulation on your.
No, you can't have a stipulation.
Okay,
I'm gonna pick this player, but if they hurt, I'm not gonna pick you. Nah,
that wasn't what it was for. But that's fine. That's cool. Okay, so my number 8 is Jonathan Taylor.
I feel like we cheating.
Jonathan Taylor.
What was the stipulation? Because of the team that he might not be on an AFC team?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I had a fair stipulation when I
but he's still currently he's a Colt. So he's still with the AFC. So if people are watching this show, he's in the AFC as of right now. Gotcha. Which is funny because he's my number 7. I swear to goodness, man.
Not standing.
I know y'all can't see it. I promise you, he's my number 7.
Wow. Okay.
Listen, Jonathan Taylor, to me, he was my number 1 last year. And he let me down because he got injured. And after that, when you have the first pick and you go all in on that one player and they can't play at all, it's hard because, first pick, you don't pick again until it come back around. And so a lot of the skill set players were gone. So I gambled. I took the best overall player at the position. He's a pass catcher. He's a running back. He's it all. But I like how you put him here. Here's the only thing. He's dealing with injuries, and we don't know if he's even going to be an Indianapolis Colt. We don't know where he's going to end up, but I still think his value is too good to pass him over.
Gotcha.
So that's my number 7. We're on to your number 7.
Stephon Diggs.
Ooh. You got to talk about Diggs. You got to talk about Diggs.
Okay, so despite what Stephen A. Smith has to say, Stephon Diggs does not want out of Buffalo.
Okay.
And he is, I mean, he was amazing in Minnesota. He's been amazing in Buffalo. It's Josh Allen's like right hand, basically. So Diggs is just dynamic, and he's going to be dynamic again this year as well.
Isn't he like the number one? Didn't he lead the league in receptions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that means something. But you do got to pay attention to the outside noise, Peachy. I wonder, the 49ers always have a lot of outside noise, and we just don't want to believe it, and then it usually comes true.
Yep.
I'm not even going to break it down. So maybe there's a possibility that he doesn't want to be there. I don't know. I don't know. But while he's there, they're going to throw him the damn ball, and
Exactly.
he catches the damn
Josh
ball.
Allen is going to throw him the football as long as he's in Buffalo. If that changes and he moves to the NFC or whatever,
Yes,
then
sir.
it is what it is.
That is his man. 50
Yes.
freaking grand. That is his man. All right. I see Fernando saying that Trey Lance is going to play Friday. Is he? Did I miss something? I don't know. I hope you're right. We'll see. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about my 6. I went with King Henry, running back, Tennessee Titans. I think he bounces back this year, has a better year. They'll be able to spell him with the rookie Tajay Spears. I think they're going to have a good team, but I think he's just too dynamic to pass over in a fantasy football draft. If he's available rounds 2, rounds 3, and you're trying to get him, I would go and grab him. That's just me.
And me too, because that's who my number 6 is. This is Derrick Henry.
Now you want to play. I see what you're doing. Anything you want to add to King Henry?
I just feel like that. Actually, it's weird because even though he's one of the top fantasy players, it seems like that people are still kind of sleeping on this dude. Like he's washed, and he just, you know what I'm saying? Like I just predict that he's gonna have this bounce back. But they do, because they sit up here and listen to the freaking coach speak, and it's like, dude, just watch the dude. The Titans are not the same when he's not out there. So, and he gets touches. I mean, he runs like he's the carrier for that team, especially with them going through the quarterback crap that they're going through, as well in Tennessee, up and down. The one constant they have is Derrick Henry.
That's a fact. Hold on. That's a fact. Listen, I don't trust their quarterback. I don't think he good. At the end of the day, I just feel like Ron is going to have his team tight, right? Tight. And I think Derrick Henry, it starts with Henry. They went and got Hopkins. Okay, they are going to be legit over there in the AFC. Was that South? I think they're going to be pretty darn legit. But it starts with Henry, so that's a guy you're definitely going to want to see. PPR league, he might not get the pass catches, but he going to get the touches and the touchdowns and the yards.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, the touches, the touchdowns, and the yards. My number 5, I went with Chubb out of Cleveland. That's my number 5. He's, to me, second to CMC. As a running back, he's second to CMC. As far as PPR, it's a tad bit different. But he's going to get more of the workload this year. So I'm a little concerned about that. He does deal with little nagging injuries throughout the year. But to start your season off, you want to make sure you're starting your season off with Chubb.
Oh, yeah.
That sounded like I should have said pause. But
Chubb is definitely... the best time to use him is definitely at the very beginning, because he is his freshest, quickest, everything. So it definitely is. But my number 5 is actually who the 49ers are actually going to see Friday, Austin Eckler.
Oh, he's your number 5. Wow. Interesting. Why so low on Eckler?
It wasn't really about that. It was like I said, the AFC is just kind of crazy and trying to figure out who was up above him.
Oh, I can't wait. So now I'm intrigued. I can't wait to hear the rest of your list, your 4, your 3, your 2, and your 1.
Yeah.
TC12I says, who's behind Chubb? What do you mean who's behind him? Like as
The
far as
running
on
back that's behind him.
like on the depth chart?
Yeah.
It ain't freaking Kareem Hunt anymore. I know that.
No, it's
I'll get it pulled up. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Browns depth chart 2023.
So
Is it a rookie?
I think it might be
Jerome Ford, rookie. Well, I don't know if he's a rookie, but he went to Cincinnati. That I remember. I think he was drafted last year. That's why they moved on from Kareem Hunt. So that's behind Chubb. Not bad. He's not bad at all.
All right. Yep. So they so that's the number 5.
That's your number 5. All right. So my number 4. All right. My number 4 is the best tight end in football, not named George Kittle.
Okay.
Travis Kelce. He's my number 4. Listen, here's my theory. Okay. I don't like to share my secrets, but every now and then I'll slip out a secret here or there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we're a new show. I know it's different. It's not 49er related, but we appreciate the support. You guys are true fans of us. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So here's my theory. If you are drafting 12, which is last in the draft, what I would do is I would draft, and he's available. He has to be available. People will reach on Travis Kelce. But if you draft 12 and Travis Kelce is staring you in the face at 12, draft Kelce, and then when your turnaround comes, pick Mahomes. That is the deadliest combo in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. You never lied about that. It definitely is.
Deadliest.
For people that are just tuning in, and thank you for tuning in. We actually did the top 10 NFC last week. We actually had Bijan Robinson in that.
Yeah, he's in both of our top 10s.
So, yeah. This is just the AFC this week.
It's okay.
So
we'll get to his question at the end of the show.
Go back and watch the show from last week.
I like Holland Tracy. Look, I've won the league twice. Tell me that combo. You can't go wrong. That is what I would call killer combo. Yes. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
That combo is deadly. It's like double points.
Yes,
and sometimes you'll get like hella points. Exactly, Mark. Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like why can't, I'm sorry, I'm 49. Why can't the Niners
just
have a killer combo?
Right.
And the tight end, maybe we'll get it this season. Purdy, Kittle, killer combo. I'm hoping.
We'll see.
I know.
We'll see.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there.
So my number 4 is actually the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill.
Ooh.
Now, I know. Oh, I thought you was about to say something because
nope, not cutting you off this time.
Okay. Tyreek Hill he's the speedster. He's the one that Tua looks towards more than anybody else. And he's the one that can just, speed past anyone. I mean, guys, everyone knows how he was in Kansas City or whatever. And he's in Miami. He's doing the same stuff. So, yep.
Interesting.
Tyreek Hill, number 4.
That's your number 4. Okay. I could dig it. All right. So this is where I'm going to switch things up.
Okay.
My number 3, Jamar Chase. My number 3 is Jamar Chase. Here's why. Last year, he didn't have the season he had his rookie year. I don't give a what y'all say. I know I had him. And he let me down. Like, he didn't perform well last year like I thought. I don't know why he's ADP number 2, 3, whatever he is. I don't get it. He did not perform the way I thought he was going to perform. last season when he had the crazy rookie season after going through mini camp and training camp, dropping every single pass. He caught every single pass. I was like, this Jamar Chase is a problem. I will make sure I keep him on my radar. I draft him, no longer a problem, wasn't the same. On top of that, Joe Burrows may not even play the first 6 games of the season because of this injury, and they might let him chill. I know that's not going to happen, but Jamar Chase kind of gave him that insight and say, listen, Joe, we got this covered. I don't know who the backup quarterback for Cincinnati is, but it ain't going to find Jamar Chase like Joe Burrow will. I put him 3 because of that. That's just me.
Hey, I love that explanation.
Y'all gotta teach me how to play Madden, Mark. I just play it. I don't know how to do anything customized. If you show me how to customize this, I will do it. I don't know how, but I want to because this sounds fun.
It does.
And then we could do a live simulation. But we gotta draft like an offensive line and stuff like that, and a defense and a whole defense.
Right.
I would love to do that, Mark. That's a great ass idea. We love the ideas too, by the way. Peachy,
Yes.
did I throw you a curveball with my number 3?
Oh yeah, you completely did. But my number 3 is Nick Chubb.
Okay, I see where we're going. I can dig it. So you're choosing Chubb over Eckler. Riddle me
Yes.
that. This. What? I don't get how. Why?
Well, one, because in I almost said San Diego. Lord have mercy. In LA, the Chargers have more than one running back. They have what's his name behind Eckler? Who so and the way that the coach does it, I mean,
Last year, the way the coach did, they got a new coach.
Last year, correct.
They're gonna air
correct.
that whole out this year. I can tell you that.
That's true. So, but I have Chubb up there. I think Chubb, like I said, when you first start out the season, he's that's your shooter when you first come out the gates.
So they got Joshua
with him.
Kelly, Isaiah Spiller, and Elijah Dotson. Ain't none of them cats Austin Eckler. Let me tell you
No,
about
they're
Austin Eckler though. I don't know. Listen, I like Chubb, but my question is, will Chubb find a way to keep himself healthy?
Right.
Is Jerome Ford, who is already listed questionable, is he going to be able to spell Chubb and give Chubb? Because Chubb is dynamic. Don't get it twisted. That's a
Right.
running back. He is a running back. They have him ranked over, not in fantasy, but as top running backs in the league, he's ranked over Christian McCaffrey. He is a running back, but fantasy, CMC is that back. But it's interesting that you went there. I feel like we flip-flopped. So my 2, if that's your 3, my 2 is Eckler.
Okay.
And the reason why I chose Eckler is because he is the ultimate PPR machine. He is
That's true.
the ultimate. He can run. He'll get touchdown. He's not going to get the long yards, but
Right.
you don't need the long yards from him. You
Right.
want touchdowns and catches.
Yeah.
So you might end up with 4 or 5 catches for 60 yards. That's 11 points, Peachy.
That's true.
Then the rushing yards, and if he get touchdowns, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I went with Eckler with my number 2. Who's your number 2?
Yeah. I just want to say something about Eckler also. Joshua Kelly's not Eckler, but he's no slouch either. So
Where did
you just
Joshua Kelly
gotta
come from?
both of
UCLA?
them. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. My number 2 is Travis Kelce.
I like this. I like that there's discourse in our lists because it makes the show so much interesting. We don't share these lists, and so we have most of the same people. Actually, I have
Right.
one person Peachy didn't have.
And the reason why that I have him at number 2 is because of what we were talking about earlier. He's just money.
Money.
That's just what he is.
Money.
He's just money. During the game that he is going to get some points, and he could get a lot of points because I've had Travis Kelce on my team for so many years, and he's never let me down.
Ever.
He said never let me down. Even if they're having, a bad game or whatever, Kelce always pulls through. He always finds a way to pull through, be it a touchdown or just all of his touches that he gets. anybody who watches Kansas City enough should know that Kelsey touches the ball all the time. So he's just money. So that's why I have him as at number 2.
Dynamic player. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that he's not. I had him at my number 4. But my number 1 player, I know yours, because you haven't mentioned him yet. But my number 1 player from the AFC, the AFC. Oh, we got a Twitch comment in here. We got a I didn't even know people still watch us on Twitch. Shout out to Jars. He says, "Yo, I traded Judy for Mixon. Redraft. Yes.
Yes.
Well. Let's ask Jars. Is it a PPR league?
Right.
Because if it's PPR, Judy is probably going to be Russell Wilson's. It's tough, man. Judy's their best route runner, but I feel like Cortland Sutton's going to get the bulk of everything. And they're down a receiver. Didn't they lose a receiver this year?
Yes, they did.
Again, Patrick, forgot his name. Something
I can't
Patrick.
think of his last name. Oh, Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick. Yeah. So I don't know. Now I don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon, because he's still a part of the organization, right? That stuff that happened where he shot somebody, is that going to come to fruition, or is that?
No, they actually just solved that. He did not do that. And it wasn't that he shot somebody. It was that he was, like when you're out somewhere and you just happen to be with people that do something or whatever.
Oh, so he blamed it on his friend.
So he is completely cleared of everything.
Okay.
And the Bengals organization is like, we're moving on. We're ready to go. We love this dude. And let's go with season. And that's it. So he's back to being.
So I kind of. I think you're good. I would keep Mixon. I think trading Jerry Jeudy is a good thing. I don't trust Denver. But I think you're joining. I would take Joe Mixon because you're gonna get double it's full PPR too, he says. Right? You're gonna get double, right? You're gonna get the points, the pass catches, all of it. So I think you're spot on. It's not like Jerry Jeudy gonna line up in the backfield and run it, and if he does, you losing the point for the points per reception, right? So I like that trade actually. You won on that trade, in my opinion.
That was a good one.
That's a good trade. So shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so let's my number 1. You're still waiting, right? Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the number 1 wide receiver in PPR league, period. Like, you can say it's Justin Jefferson, but it's something about Tyreek Hill. It's something about him, right? He catches just about everything. And on top of that, he's fast. He's going to take it to the house. I had to go with him over Jamar Chase from the AFC. I hope you're not mad at me. I know you're I know Chase is. I get it, but it's something about Tyreek Hill. He's been consistent every year, and on top of that, this may be his last year, and I think he balls out.
Yeah. I think he has a great season. Hopefully his quarterback will stay upright so they don't have that issue going on.
Good point.
We wish good health to Tua. Despite another Stephen A. target that came out really ugly about him. So it's like, dang, Stephen A's on a roll, man.
He's on the roll.
I went with Jamar Chase, of course, and I went with Jamar Chase is because the Bengals do not expect Joe Burrow to miss any time. He said that he's ready week 1. Chase and them were just saying, like if he couldn't come back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he's on set in. It's just Burrow to Chase and more Chase. And it happens a lot. And Chase can catch over cornerbacks and safeties and whatever. And so, it's going to be Jamar Chase number 1.
My issue though is the difference to me though, Peachy, with between him and Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill catches screen passes. Chase ain't catching those screen passes. So that's the issue. But I do watch Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is a monster, and the old guy, I can't even think of his name. This third wide receiver. He's been there since the century of time began. The land before.
Boyd?
Tyler what's his first name? I don't want to say it wrong.
I think it's Tyler Boyd.
I think it is Tyler Boyd. That dude's been there since Ocho Cinco and TJ Huzmanzada. Like, he's still there. Like, listen, I like Chase. I think Chase is cool, but it's neck and neck. It's really preference, right? This is the AFC. If this was the NFC, there's only one wide receiver you want on your team.
Exactly.
His name is Justin Jefferson.
Right.
You know what's funny? Why don't we pair? Why don't people draft Kirk Cousins? If Justin Jefferson balls out, it's because of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But Kirk Cousins is too mid. Like, he has too many mid games for me. Like, that's what it is. Those are our top 10 fantasy football players of the AFC. All right. We got one more segment for you guys before we do a little Q&A. Here's our teams. This is Peachy's team. All right. She drafted Jalen Hurts, Jamar Gibbs, Antonio Gibson. Stephon Diggs was your first pick, right?
I think so. Yeah, because
TJ
I had
Hawkinson.
to pick, yeah.
And then her two flex spots for the first week right now is Goddard, Christian Kirk, who's a sleeper. Evan McPherson is her kicker. And the Steelers is her defense. Peachy, week 1, has to hope that the Steelers defense shuts the San Francisco 49ers out. I would have never picked the Steelers. I tried to stay away from every team the 49ers play. All right, so I got Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. I know I spelled his name wrong. I apologize. Derrick Henry, Deebo Samuel, Hopkins, Evan Ingram, Mike Evans, Mike Thomas, Justin Tucker, and I got the Bills defense. All right. Now, in the chat, you know what? I'm going to do a quick poll. Let's do it. All right. Who is going to win week 1? And we'll post them back up again. Who will win week 1?
Now, while Breezie's typing that, though, I am going to be allowed for this stipulation because Breezie is going to have the same stipulation. Before y'all are like, who are some of these players? Well, that's because you have somebody that decided that they wanted to take a quarterback in round 1 and then come back with the other quarterback right after that in the snake draft because they drafted last. So then that means that they drafted first. So they took 2 quarterbacks. And then people started taking quarterbacks. So it threw everything out of whack. So some of the players, I know you're going to be like, wow, this is kind of crazy. But
here's my thing, yo. You got to draft to win. Okay? There's no strategy to win because you don't know the other person's strategy.
Exactly.
And so no matter what you think your strategy is, there's a possibility that strategy is going to be busted up in the chops.
Yep, that's true.
Because what Peachy's trying to say is there's a certain person named Mike that decided because he was drafting last to pick back-to-back quarterbacks. And he didn't pick just
any quarterbacks.
He picked Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. The top 2 quarterbacks of the draft. I don't even know what the rest of his team looks like. But at the end of the day.
Yes, that is exactly why he said he did it.
Yeah, that's why he did it. And I hope no one trades with his ass.
Right.
Because I'm going to veto every trade.
Because it has to be approved by you.
Oh, yeah. Mike think he thought he pulled a slick one. That's what he thought. But he was tight because he was drafted. He was picking 12th. He should have picked freaking Patrick Mahomes and went and got Travis Kelce. But he don't listen.
Yeah.
He don't listen. But guys, vote on who you think is going to win week 1. Now, Sleeper has me winning slightly. And these are the lineups that we have currently started now. The projected points obviously can change once the 53-man rosters are made and things like that.
It always does, actually.
It always does.
It always does.
It always does. But let's just go through it quarterback per quarterback. All right, Justin Herbert versus Jalen Hurts. Let's do it like that in the chat. You can vote who you think is going to win, but let's go Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts. Put your answers in the chat. Herbert.
Tell them who they're playing.
Oh, yeah.
Because that makes a difference.
Yeah. It shouldn't matter who they playing. They fucking all-stars. They go out there and perform every single week. I don't know who the Eagles play week 1. I don't know who the Chargers play. I don't care. I know the 49ers play the Steelers. It's the only thing that matters.
That's a good point.
But you're right. Peachy, it does matter who they're playing. It matters if they're on the road. It matters what the weather is like. There's so many factors.
Yeah.
But just by name.
Right.
Herbert hurts. And nobody's trying to pick. I feel like they're not trying to hurt one of our feelings. And so they being suckers in the comment section
I do
today.
not really care because you can hurt my feelings because I'm sure our show coming up at 10 o'clock, a lot of people are going to be trying to hurt my feelings. Yes, exactly.
All right, so
Gotcha. I
Herbert
like that.
Herbert over Hurt. We're going to show the lineups again. All right, I'm going to try to remember. All right, Peachy has Jahmyr Gibbs. I have Austin Eckler. Gibbs
Well,
versus Eckler.
No-brainer.
I like Gibbs. He's just a rookie.
I know.
See, you got a Hurts. See? Hurts is the place. Oh, no, that's a Hardware song. All right. You know, it's hard to do this. So we won't go back and forth. But guys, man, these are who we drafted. This is our first draft. It's my first draft. Peachy's second draft. It's my first draft. I just drafted a team, Peachy. I want to get your thoughts on it. And maybe they can give us some insight on it. Or whatever. I'll read who I was able to get. I had the second pick in the draft. So my first pick was second pick in the draft. Who's my first pick?
CMC, because who else would it be?
It damn sure was CMC. Everybody like, we saw that pick from a mile away, Breezy. We knew you was gonna pick CMC. You're damn right. All right. Let's go through this league. I just want to make sure. Did he put the stuff in the thing in between? Nope, not that one. Hold on. Here I come. There it is. All right. So I got Aaron Rodgers, CMC, Kenneth Walker III, Garrett Wilson, is it Amari Cooper?
Yes, Amari Cooper.
DJ Moore. Is it Mark Andrews? Dalvin Cook is in my flex as of right now, and Koo is my kicker, and the Bills is my defense. Some reason the Bills keep falling to me because people be reaching for the Niners and the Eagles. But I'm gonna tell you what. Here's my tidbit. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think the AFC East may have the top I think those four teams may end up in the top 10 defenses of the league. The AFC East. Just a little, because people think New England sucks. Their defense doesn't. That's why they stay in games. People think the Jets have been building the defense since day one, and they got the sauce. I'm going with the sauce. The Bills always have a top defense. They got the linebackers. They got the pass rush, right? And then which team am I missing? Jets, Bills,
Dolphins.
And then the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins got a crazy-ass pass rush. They traded for Bradley Chubb last year. They got Jalen Phillips. They have a problem. I think y'all might – ooh, there we go. Let's do it. Q&A time. Holland Tracy says, Bills have more points on defense than anyone. Thank you. I'm going to find a way to draft the Bills in every fantasy football draft. I can tell you that. TC12I says that the Jets had a top 5 defense last year. All right, let's do a little Q&A. We got to get prepared for our next show. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I believe there were a few that were already here. Carcast says, I traded A-Rod for Justin Fields. Good for me or no? Why is everybody hyped on Justin Fields? Is it because he can run?
Yeah, and then everybody's looking at the fact that he has a little bit better weapons than he had before, whatever. New coach, a new system, you know how the hype is. They have to hype someone. So that's who they're choosing to hype. That is not good for you because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a pretty damn good fantasy year. And he's going to remind people how Aaron Rodgers used to be when he used to be one of the top fantasy quarterbacks.
If just watch Hard Knocks, he looks very happy.
He does.
Wow. I mean, he just switched the color green, but he looks really happy. Nigel says, who the top 5 tight ends? All right, ready to go through the top 5 tight ends?
Yeah.
We'll do it together and we'll just agree on it. All right. Who's 1? I'll do 2. You do 3. I'll do 4. You do 5.
1 is Travis Kelce.
2 is Mark Andrews.
3, I would have to put George Kittle.
4, I'm going TJ Hawkinson.
And then 5. 5 is where it gets weird. How about, let's see.
It does get weird at 5.
It really does get weird at 5.
I thought Evan Ingram had a banging year last year. So Evan Ingram can be that 5th guy, him or Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I think it's between
Waller
those
or,
2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Waller is with the new team with the Giants. Evan Ingram got his contract with the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
So will he still ball out? He was on contract year, which made him ball out. It's funny how we're talking about a former Giant and now a new Giant in the same thing.
That's
so
true.
I would go Evan Ingram or Darren Waller. Darren Waller hasn't practiced yet from the last time I checked. So pay attention to what's going on with him injury-wise. But those are that would be the 5th for me.
Gotcha.
Pocket the Cheesecake says, is Bijan a sleeper? I know you addressed it. Is he a sleeper? He's a top draft pick, bro.
He absolutely is. Yes.
Yeah. Like he's a top freaking draft pick, man. It's
and if you have not watched him, and I know, it was just preseason. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this dude can catch it like one hand. Like he literally like Odell'd it when he was out there and they caught it. He is really agile and he's going to put up big numbers for Atlanta, and they plan to use him as such. So Bijan is definitely going to be a top running back this year.
Shout out to Angel Sepulveda, who says, guess what? A little pushback, Peachy. What do you think? Dallas Goedert as the 5th tight end from the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like he doesn't get utilized much. What makes him? I don't know. Listen, he's definitely in the top 10. He's definitely in the top 10.
He definitely is. I just feel that Philly has a lot of weapons. They got a lot of stuff going on in
weird.
Philly. I don't know.
What did he do last year? That's the question. I don't remember him. I remember the previous year him balling out.
Yeah, but not last year because because they got AJ Brown. That's actually a good one, Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz is now with the Houston Texans, though, by the way. So
yes,
pay attention to that.
Yes, that's gonna be good. Because they have AJ Brown, they've got
Devontae Smith,
and they've got I think Quez is still there.
Mm-hmm. They got new running backs.
Quez Watkins, and they got the new running backs that are there.
And then there's the running back that catches out of the backfield,
right? And then
the
last word is that they're in on Jonathan Taylor. So there's gonna be like weapons galore in Philly, which sucks as a 49er fan, but excited about it as a fantasy fan.
If they get Jonathan Taylor,
that's what I'm saying.
How?
Because their owner does that. Like he just if he wants something, he just makes it happen.
There it is. All right. They said that he got 702 yards, 3 TDs last year. See the yards, the TDs are super low for me. How many catches did he get? If it's PPR, is he getting a lot of targets? I don't know, but hey.
He just doesn't. To me, just way too many weapons, and Goddard's not. I mean, nah.
I hate to give advice on Kyle Pitts. I've been drafting him every year since he was a rookie, and he has not done anything.
He hasn't let him down every single year.
Now you're laughing. The one year I decided to stay far away from him will be the year that he becomes the best tight end in football. So you have to. It's totally up to you, right? Even Holland, he's bound to blow up. He is. He just won't blow up on my team because he has blown up my team. I'm like, yo, I like the matchup. Matter of fact, Peachy, the best game he's ever had in his career.
Oh, we already know.
Okay. And I didn't start him that week. And I did not start him that week. Peachy, final thoughts. Mm-hmm. Let's get on up out of here. Next week, we'll be back.
Yes, we will be back. Guys, it is getting close. A lot of you are probably scheduled for drafts or, Coming up pretty soon, you'll be having drafts. If you're the people that have like the last minute ones, like I think I have like 5 that are right before the season starts, because they like to do it after the 53.
Okay.
Before
that's fair.
out. So, I mean, can't blame for that. And but any questions that you have or whatever, you can always like leave them in the comments, and one of us will definitely try to give our opinion and advice about it. And fantasy is so fun, but it's also so crazy because you have to look at so many different things and you have to pay attention to all these different things. But what's going to be exciting is when we reconvene. By the time we reconvene next week, every roster will have their starting 53.
Good job.
So that will make things a lot more fun to kind of go through and see and who's what. And hopefully there won't be no crazy surprises. And his fantasy needs to go find some people. So we'll see. It's never know, especially if you're a Niner fan. Speaking of which, at 10 o'clock, we have an over-the-top emergency show that's going to be on. So all of you who were talking about the 49ers, Kyle and everything in that, bring it on over at 10 o'clock to where we're going to be, because the nitty-gritty Niner crew is getting together, bringing you guys this special show.
All right, y'all. We will see you next week. We will see you if you're going to tune in to the overreaction shows called Over the Top. We're going to be talking about the Trey Lance situation. Did the 49ers bumble and stumble and fumble on this? Are they making the right decision? Is it a mistake? We don't know. But we soon going to talk about it. I can tell you that right now. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to What's Your Fantasy. We'll see you next week, guys. Peace. Hey, look. Ruining dreams under pressure. Peachy be the one to bless ya, but don't test her. The queen reigns supreme, you know what I mean? Add the boy Breezie, Prince, like a king. When the two come together in any weather, they form a bond, stay tight in any measure. So it's my pleasure, the #1 team. Let the world know what's your fantasy.